This is my Unit 7 Muddiest Point screencast and discussion for FED 500 by Terry Williamson for Alabama A&M University. My first muddiest point is helping students from poverty. I realize that many schools are able to help with school supplies that range from pencils, paper, backpacks, and other various supplies that lighten the load for students to be able to have the daily supplies that they need to make it through their classes, and it lightens the load for the parents and the responsibility of having to buy those things, and it's a massive help to them financially, especially if they have multiple children enrolled in school. There's a lot of expense that comes with those supplies. The hygiene products is another thing that I've noticed. For instance, our school has a room that we use and provide supplies for students that need those supplies, like deodorant, shampoo, toothbrushes, toothpaste, and so on, so that they can get those things that they need to have cleanliness and proper hygiene. And clothing is another one that we've worked as a faculty to gather for students in the past who needed those kind of supplies to be able to make it through the school year. And sometimes we also get them some summer clothes as well, because we know they're going to grow over the summer. And that's a big benefit to those students, so that they can kind of have some nice clean clothing to wear and not rewear the same clothes too much to where that stands out and gets them negative attention from students, I guess you could say. The muddiest point part of this that I have trouble with is how can teachers help more students, because we don't necessarily always know which students are in poverty or in families that are struggling financially. Sometimes students are fine at the start of a school year, and then maybe one or both parents loses their job, and we don't necessarily hear about it at school, and that creates a struggling point for that child that doesn't get picked up right away, or doesn't get noticed right away. And I just wonder, how can we help more students? The next muddiest point that goes along with this to me is, how can teachers help the families without seeming like they're invasive, like they're prying into their lives and trying to push some agenda of how the children need to be raised, or the fact that without making parents feel like they're not doing a good enough job for their child, in a way that shows that we care and we want to help without being invasive. How do we not cross that line and offend somebody? The second muddiest point is technology for me. I see student engagement being a great element of using technology in the classroom and getting students more involved with a lesson, helping them make connections that otherwise they might miss out on because they lose focus. They lose that engagement because they're so used to, some students are so used to being in a technology connected world that that's almost what they come to expect from interaction in daily life. I see it being able to help with synthesis and application, because students can work collaboratively and contribute to a project as a group using technology. Making a movie, for instance, that conveys a concept that they're learning in science, or making a PowerPoint presentation or a Prezi presentation that conveys what they're learning and requires them to really dig in and reflect upon what they're gaining from their instructional time. With that, though, comes the question of, how can I maximize technology usage for students when many students do not have a computer, tablet, smartphone, or Wi-Fi? I look at other school systems that do have the technology, because they have the funds. Maybe it's because they're a larger school system, like a larger city school system or county school system that has greater funding sources that come in that allow them to provide maybe a 1-to-1 ratio. And that's super impressive to me as a teacher, to know that students get to take home a computer or a tablet and work at home in the evenings to do assignments, and obviously reduce the amount of paperwork that a teacher has to sort through. You see these schools that are on a paper-free initiative, and all the assignments are submitted online through websites and applications like Google Docs, for instance, which is really impressive to me as a teacher. And I would like to see ways that that could be maximized and used for students that come from those lower economic homes that don't have that technology for the children. And I think it would help them in the future to be more prepared for jobs that are going to hand them a smartphone or tablet and say, here, you need to use this when you do your job, so that they can pick it up and just run with it, and not struggle and have to be trained in how to use an iPad or a smartphone to do their job. Many students don't have Wi-Fi, and I've heard of some systems that have like a grant or funds that are allocated to provide students with a low-cost Wi-Fi system, like a portable hotspot that they can take home, so that they have access to the internet. And obviously that helps them to be able to do research, or to use Google Docs, for instance, to complete and view assignments, or to read or watch a video in advance to prepare for a classroom lesson that utilizes the idea of a flipped classroom, where students watch or complete a digital assignment at home, and then they come into the classroom ready to go and able to interact with that teacher on that given lesson. So these are my 2 muddiest points. Thank you.